Hi guys, so welcome to another episode of the Uncast show. Now today I've got some really cool guests on the show. I've got three of the Unraid team. I've got Eli,
hello,
Larry and Spencer. Now, because I don't want to butcher people's surnames, I'm not going to say them, so if you guys can actually introduce yourself, please.
You bet. So Larry Meaney. My journey with Unraid began about 9 years ago when I set up my first server. And, I was originally attracted by the fact that you can build the NAS using your own hardware, and it gives you much more powerful system than, buying an off-the-shelf system for the same price. The community really sealed the deal, and I soon became much more involved and haven't looked back. About 2.5 years ago, the stars aligned and I was able to actually join the team. And I just feel super lucky to be able to work on the project that I feel this passionate about. And it's actually my job.
Awesome. And Eli.
Yeah, what's up? So I'm Eli Bosley. I joined Unraid about, I think, 8 or 9 months ago now.
Is that long?
Something like that, yeah. As a software engineer. And I've been working primarily on Connect, but I dabble in pretty much all of our cloud infrastructure. And I initially started using Unraid like 5 or 6 years ago now, maybe 4 or 5, but, as a college student. So it was the expensive option, but I found out it did a lot of what I wanted to do without being as hands-on as a lot of the other products. So that's why I started using it. And this job kind of came across my lap when I was like unhappy at another place. So it was awesome. I was able to join, and now like my hobby is my job. So it's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Right. And Spencer Jones.
My name's Spencer Jones, as you already said. I've worked here at LimeTech since 2019 and started out as the community manager. And as the product and the user base has grown, I now am the marketing and comms manager. And part of my role, actually, behind the scenes, is to help put this lovely show on with Ed. So do a lot of the scheduling and just the back office type stuff, and then all the communications and posting and all that good stuff. So it's a labor of love, and we hope we just want to thank everyone for listening.
So whereabouts are you guys located?
So I'm in northern Arizona.
So you're in Arizona. My geography is terrible. I'm not really quite sure where that is. I'm assuming that's western United States.
Yeah. It is, western United States, next to pretty close to California.
And you, Eli, whereabouts are you located?
Yeah, I am in Virginia. So that's, East Coast US, right? Central East Coast.
And Spencer, you're on the West Coast as well?
Correct. Yeah, I'm in Southern California. So I'm probably maybe like 4 hours or so from Larry, just straight to the water, essentially.
A question for both Larry and Eli really is, what got you interested in software development in the first place? Where did it all start for you guys?
I will say I was going to Cal Poly for a electronic engineering degree, and I was absolutely hating every bit of it. And then I ended up taking a computer science class and loved it. And so I switched my major from electronic engineering to computer engineering, and love software development from then.
Nice. Yeah. I probably started when I was in middle school or something. I did this first robotics team as a organization. They do competitions with the Lego Mindstorm sets, and then they also do bigger robots. And I started programming, doing that actually when I was really young. And so that sort of kicked off this love of computer science, I think. So I was kind of on this track forever. Yeah.
So, what's your favorite thing about being a developer then? So anything particularly come to mind?
For me, it's that euphoric feeling you get when you solve a problem after spending hours and hours trying to get to a solution. There's something really satisfying about not knowing how to build something and then figuring out how to build it and actually being able to see, the thing you built come to life. It's one of the most unique feelings to engineering. I feel like where you get that full, especially software engineering, you get the full, like, I can create an idea into a thing that's tangible. And a lot of industries, it takes a very long time to get there, but with software development, it's very quick. And I think that's really, really satisfying.
Yeah, I wish I could do what you guys do.
I like that when there's a problem that a lot of people are having and you can solve it, and then you just roll it out and you've now solved that problem for a lot of people all at once. I think that is very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And Spencer, like, if I can ask you a question, Spencer.
Sure.
Have you ever dabbled in any type of coding yourself? I know you're not a developer yourself, but neither am I. But,
No, yeah.
Have you ever tried anything like that at all?
I've taken a few classes here and there, and it was a struggle. It was a struggle for sure. So yeah, my hat's off to all the developers out there. It's pretty amazing what you guys can do on a day-to-day basis. And then, but from my perspective, not being a developer, being more, forward facing to the community, it's just really exciting when we do have those breakthroughs or those releases come out. And just, I feel like our community is pretty unique. I feel like as software or tech communities go, it just seems like everyone is like really, really excited about like just what we're doing, our releases, just everything. I mean, it's kind of a shameless plug now, but like we just recently released a new documentation website, and it's documentation. Our old wiki and docs left a lot to be desired.
Whereabouts is that, Spencer? Is
it
on the main Unraid.net website, or is it a separate site?
Yeah, it's on the header and footer. You can also go to docs.unraid.net, and we just put out a blog about it. And awesome. I mean, it's not the sexiest thing, but just the reaction across social media and in the forums has been something to see. So I think people will like it. It's a lot cleaner, a lot faster, and modern looking. Right. It's mobile friendly, and in my opinion, the best part is it's now a kind of a living documentation base where anyone can submit content and make updates to the documentation, and it's all hosted on something called Docusaurus, and people can issue pull requests via GitHub. So it's a great thing. Something that we just shipped a couple days ago, and so it's really cool to see the audiences, the Unraid fans' appreciation for that.
I'll be sure to having a look at that when we get off the podcast. I wasn't aware of that. That's really awesome.
Yeah, hot off the press.
Anyway, start with you first, Spencer. What do you do outside of work? Do you have any hobbies or interests you want to share with the audience that you do when you're not hard at work?
Yeah, it's funny. Right before we got on, we were chatting, and Eli was talking about how he doesn't have any time to work out, and so he goes into his home gym, he works out, does some sets, and then goes and codes with the big monitor that's there. And while I don't have that exact setup, I often feel like that myself, just because it's a small team. We all wear a lot of hats. And on top of that, I have like a 4-year-old daughter, and, it's a busy, really full, nice life. So outside hobbies right now, just moved into a new place, and there's a nice little garden, veggie section. So I've been putting in some tomatoes and some other plants with my daughter. And I like to run. I like to ride bikes. We have a nice bike trail near my house that cuts down through some nice parks, and you can eventually make it all the way to the ocean. So that kind of stuff. A lot of my hobbies and of old have sort of peeled away into just being a father and a husband and then a worker for Unraid.
And so Eli and Larry, what do you get up to in your spare time, guys?
I've been doing a lot of home reno stuff recently. I've learned to do plumbing and electrical, and a lot of I learned to tile recently, which was crazy. So a lot of that
Eli,
stuff. Yeah.
Eli, when you're tiling or plumbing, do you stop and do a set of weights in between each time you move the spanner, or that's only when you code?
That is the workout. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do sets in the middle. You're doing sets just doing it. But that's been a sort of terrible but fun learning experience for me. There's something just like I feel like with engineering where like you get that like satisfaction when you see something coming together. Home improvement definitely gives me the same thing. I've also been trying to, take my car to a track. I've been meaning to. I do a lot of autocross, which is like driving around in a parking lot fast, but I haven't ever done a track event. So that's another plan that I've got. So yeah, should be pretty cool.
Oh, sounds really cool. And Larry, same question.
Sure. Well, over here in the background, there's my Bamboo Lab Carbon X1 3D printer. Oh. I've been interested in 3D printing for a long time, and it always just seemed like a lot of hassle. But this printer came out, and I'm really having a lot of fun with it. It's been very cool.
Yeah, we just had a team offsite a couple weeks back, and Larry brought some of his 3D printed objects for like show and tell, and just amazing what that thing can do. It's just like really cool stuff. So it was fun to see.
Yeah, I'd love to get back into 3D printing. I had a 3D printer years ago, but it was one of the kind of first ones, and it was pretty awful. And I think I printed about 3 or 4 things, and it's in a box somewhere.
That's my experience too, Ed. I got a 3D printer a few years ago, and I've spent more time upgrading the printer than I have printing things with the printer because the out of the box experience was so painful. So it's a huge time suck, but these new printers are so good. It's crazy. It's a different world.
Yeah, the out of the box of this is really nice. I'd recommend it if you're interested. If you're interested in 3D printing, give these guys a shot.
So long as you don't have to build the 3D printer yourself. I had a bad experience with that one. So the very first one I bought, I started trying to build it, and I thought, I just really can't be bothered with this. So I bought myself another one that was pre-built. My brother, he's an engineer in the Navy, and so I thought, that's a good birthday gift for him. So I gave it to him, and I actually asked him the other day, this was like 3 years ago, I said, Sam, have you built that 3D printer yet? Oh man, I've been really busy. so he never built it either. So I don't know. I think pre-built's definitely the way to go with 3D printing, for me and my family for sure.
Yeah, maybe the other thing I'll say that is more for this crowd exactly is kind of behind me there is my server closet.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I've got a rack in there with 4 Unraid servers on it to kind of help. It's, the whole hobby and work thing going on in the office here. One thing I'll mention, in case people are interested, is, if you have servers running headless like that, is to check out the PyKVM. It's a kind of a new Kickstarter project, and it lets you... It gives you a web-based interface to access your server's console, and you can interact, with the keyboard on it as well. Even as far as like to the BIOS, you can manage the BIOS of your server through it. Essentially, you kind of think of it like it's adding IPMI onto any Unraid system. So it's a pretty cool way to have your server set up remote from where you are.
Can you just run that on like a Pi Zero or something? I'm assuming there's additional hardware, and you supply the Pi to go with the hardware you buy.
Actually, the way you do it now is it all comes as one piece.
Right.
You can still build your own, though, I think, if you want, right?
I think you can, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, is the new one that just came out, is that actually one board that does everything?
It comes in a case and everything closed up. It's all everything you need. It's pretty cool.
Talking about Raspberry Pis, I'm sorry to kind of go really off tangent here from what we are meant to be talking about. Have you guys ever heard of the Mycroft project?
No.
The open source voice assistant. It's based off a Raspberry Pi. The first one was based off the Pi 3, and I believe the Mycroft 2 is based off the Pi 4. Just a random thing.
This is cool. I know Home Assistant was at one point trying to integrate with these local voice assistants. I'm not sure if this is like one of those or if this is like a out of the box, like all-in-one thing. It looks like it might be an all-in-one situation. Really, the locally hosted voice assistants thing is super cool though.
I'll have to look into that. That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
So guys, moving on a little bit, can you describe the application you're currently developing and what problem does it solve? So I don't know who wants to jump onto that question.
Go for it.
Oh, me? All right. I can hop on it. Yeah. So yeah, the product that we just launched was Unraid Connect. It is in a beta state. It is the successor to My Servers. It's actually built on a lot of the foundations that My Servers created, but it adds a lot of functionality. So what the product is basically a way for someone to monitor their server remotely without needing their server to be port forwarded or on the actual internet. They can install the Connect plugin, and that plugin will, when they go to the Connect dashboard, start sending data through our relay, essentially, to the Connect dashboard and display information about like the running Docker containers, the running VMs, how much storage they have on their server, that sort of thing. So it's basically a way to monitor your server remotely. And we have a lot of plans for the future for additional build out of functionality. But for now, it's just mostly a monitoring tool. You can also manage your server inside of Connect if you use the Unraid certificates, which are basically you provision them inside of Unraid. You can then manage in a different tab in Connect your server and view your server's dashboard. So like add Docker containers or whatever you need to do.
So
Yeah.
Eli, for people that don't know kind of like what provisioning a certificate is,
Yeah.
what does that mean? Sorry. So you say they can manage the server if they provision a certificate. Can you break that down a little bit, please?
Yeah, Larry, I think will know the exact path you go to, but it's inside of your settings on your server. You can go to management access, and then there's a button in management access that says provision, and that will give you a certificate that is signed by Let's Encrypt for your server. And basically that server's certificate gets installed on your server so that rather than accessing your server through like tower.local, you can access it through your IP address, it's like your IP address with dashes instead of dots, and then dots, like a random hash, myunraid.net. And what that means is you can use SSL. So instead of accessing your certificate through a self-signed certificate, you're accessing it through a valid signed by Let's Encrypt. So Let's Encrypt is a like large certificate signing agency. So their certificates are trusted by every web browser. And what that means is that when you use Unraid Connect, if you have one of those certificates, because that domain, myunraid.net, matches, it is able to iframe, which is just essentially like as if you had opened a new tab to your server and gone to that URL. It's just putting that tab into the browser page with the other stuff that's inside of Unraid Connect.
Yeah, so it's just a couple of button clicks and you get a really easy way to be able to manage your server from within Connect.
Yeah, and you can manage all of them.
You can basically set up Connect as the one place that you bookmark, like connect.myunraid.net. And then from there, you can easily access your server or even multiple servers if you have more than one. And it's all, a secure way of being able to access everything over SSL. Super easy to set up.
And can you tell me what deep linking is?
Yeah, no.
I know Unraid Connect does deep linking, but can you explain to the audience exactly what that is, please?
Yeah, what that means is basically like any view in the dashboard for Connect has a little link icon. Or all the widgets when you're on the dashboard for a server, I should say, have a little icon above them in the top right corner. And when you click that icon, it will either take you to the accessible URL for your server, which would be a URL that Connect can access from your local computer, or it'll take you to like your iframe that's like on the same page as Connect, and you'll be able to link to that relevant feature. So that's like, if you have Docker apps, for example, you can click a link in the Docker widget that will bring you to the Docker apps on your Unraid server.
Something that people might be kind of wondering about, if they provision an SSL certificate and they're connecting to their server through the unraid.net URL, should their internet connection go down, they can still use their local IP for the server. Is that correct?
That depends on what setting you use for secure access. Larry, you might know the exact name of the setting.
Yeah, there's a setting called Use SSL,
Yeah.
also on the settings management access page. And so depending on how you have that configured, it can either be really easy to access your server through the old URL, or it can take a little work. It depends on how much, like what level of security you have around SSL.
Yeah, it's use SSL/TLS. If you set it to strict, you do need internet to get to the server, because what happens is that web server in Unraid will stop responding to any requests that are to tower.local. It will only respond to this certificate. And the reason that doesn't work when you don't have internet is that URL in the certificate actually goes to our DNS servers, which point back to your server.
Right.
So if your internet is down, that even though we're not doing any routing, we don't see any data that goes through there, our DNS server says this is the IP you need to go to. So when you don't have access to myunraid.net, it can't resolve. If you set it to yes, though, you can still benefit from most, like, by defaulting to that certificate, but you'll also, I think, be able to use the locally signed, like tower.local. It'll just be HTTPS tower.local instead of HTTP tower.local. Yeah.
So your DNS servers resolve like a local IP based off the subdomain with the long kind of hash string, yes?
Yeah, it's a little weird, but yeah, that's how it works.
So depending on your router, would you have to set up like a rule so the router doesn't consider it a rebinding attack? Is that something that still needs to be done?
It definitely depends on your router. It can be considered. Some routers have a feature called DNS rebinding protection that prevents a DNS entry from returning a local non-routable IP. And in order to use this, in order to be able to have a real SSL certificate that points to a local IP, you do need to disable DNS rebinding.
Yeah. With the original My Servers, that's something I had to do in pfSense, but it was super easy. I think it's just 2 lines I had to pop in, and took about 20 seconds. So.
That is still an issue. Like consumer routers, at least my consumer router doesn't have any issues with DNS rebinding. It doesn't care, but it is totally router dependent whether or not you need to do that.
Yeah. So other functions of Unraid Connect, flash backups, is that something people can do?
Yep, flash backups are still there. They use the same logic that was used in my servers. It's like ported directly from it. We have a lot of enhancements that we'd like to make to flash backups, but I don't have a timeline on that, but they are like, we're hoping for at least multiple versions eventually, and some more functionality there. So,
right.
Yeah.
So as in multiple versions, you mean, so I could go back to maybe kind of 2 months ago, a backup from there rather than just having the latest one in case I messed up.
In theory, yes. The way Flash Backup works is that there's a Git repo that you're actually pushing to. So, like, I think given that, there's a Git history for your whole Flash Backup history. So you should be able to check out a commit 2 months ago and go back in time. It's just a matter of developing the features around that. So, yeah.
Right, cool. Any other features you guys would like to talk about?
Talk about what we'd like to have in the future and what's coming.
What's
down
there?
the pipeline.
Well, I was thinking maybe kind of how license management works in Unraid Connect. For people that have, say, never used My Servers before, they don't know what Unraid Connect is. What is the license management part of?
Oh, that's a good point.
What is the license management part of Unraid Connect?
You want to talk about this, Spencer? You got this one.
Sure. Yeah. A lot of times, part of my job here at Unraid is working on some of the support tickets, specifically around licensing. So a lot of times people they bought Unraid 5 or 8 years ago, they need to spin up a new USB flash device, and they like lost their email or they just can't find their license key file to basically transfer their license. And so it's a pretty big support load for us, just doing this, managing it for people. And so one really nice thing about Connect is you have that key file at all times on your Connect dashboard. You can upgrade your key, and I think even if like you see a trial, you can purchase right from there as well from the dashboard. So it's a really nice, like, just one place that keeps everything, and it eliminates the need for people to have to dig in their emails or their downloads folder from 5 or 10 years back and try and get their purchase, or try and prove to us that they purchased it way back when. So that's one nice feature. One other thing I wanted to mention too is Connect is localized in like 5 different languages. Unraid is a global user base, and so we definitely would like to cater to that. And so right now we're available in English, German, French, Spanish, and Chinese. So pretty good subset of the global user base, and sometimes we'd like to expand even more in the future. So.
Yeah, and that translation repo is also public, so if you see anything wrong with your language's translations, you can come in and contribute and update and submit a PR, and we'll look at it and make sure it's good and then accept it.
And can people add to the languages? Say someone who speaks maybe Japanese, can they translate and push to that as well?
They absolutely could. We'd probably want them to make an issue just so that we could make sure that that's like we have the tooling in place, but I don't see why we couldn't add additional languages. I think having our community help translate if they want to add translations would be awesome. That's something where I think we're trying to do a little more, right, Spencer?
Yeah, the Connect translations match our website right now. Just our website's also translated in all those languages. We also have like completely separate language repos for the web GUI, and at last time I checked, that's like up to like I want to say like 18 different languages that people have helped to contribute to. So if you have if you are from say Portugal or pretty much any language you can think of, go ahead and check out community apps and just type in and search for your language. And there's a good chance that a language pack exists for that. You can download it, and then the entire Unraid web GUI, you can switch back and forth between languages, and it's really cool. It's a great community effort behind that, and that's just like one of the small things that we like to do and like to basically open source for anyone who wants to help out.
Cool. Just going back to dynamic remote access a moment, could someone say exactly what the dynamic remote access is?
So remote access in general requires you to set up a port forward, and then we handle all the DNS and all the SSL difficulties for you. If you just set up a port forward, then you'll be able to manage your Unraid server from outside your home. When we start talking about dynamic remote access, it gets really cool, because instead of having to manually set up a permanent port forward, we can set it up using, say, UPnP. And so if UPnP is enabled on your router, when you go to the Connect dashboard and enable remote access, it will automatically in the background turn on the UPnP port to open the port. Then you can use remote access, and when you disconnect, it will disable the UPnP port.
Awesome.
So that way the port is only forwarded while you're actually using it, and it's also forwarded on a random port to completely help hide that system from any bad guys.
So guys, what plans do you have that you can speak about for the future of Unraid Connect? Can you tease us with anything we can get excited about?
Yeah, so I can tell you, so notifications are a big one that I think a lot of people will want right now. If you go to Connect, there's no way to know what notifications your server has sent. So that is coming very soon. and is like developmentally like probably 50% of the way there. So that's a pretty big one that's going to just help a lot of people, I think.
So can I just butt in there, Meaney? So I assume if you've got kind of like maybe kind of 4 or 5 servers in Unraid Connect, when the notifications get enabled, there's just one place and you can see the notifications for all your servers in one place.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
That is the hope. Yeah. So instead of having to manage all of them, and all of this stuff is very iterative. So you can kind of see if you go to Connect now, the start of some stuff like, Docker containers, like you can't manage their state right at the moment, but you can view your individual containers and whether they're running and stuff like that. So we'd really like to add functionality to Connect to manage your Docker containers, to view your virtual machines, that sort of stuff. And the foundation is all there to do that. It's just a matter of implementing it. And like Spencer mentioned earlier, it's a very small team. So it's I've been the only person pretty much doing back-end development for Unraid Connect, for a very long time. So it's slow going, but we're making progress on this stuff. And then, longer term, I think we'd really like to see the API that Unraid Connect talks to is right now it's a closed source repo, but I'd really like to see it come open source and it's GraphQL, and that way community members can contribute to both the development of this thing and they can build apps using this same like GraphQL API. So they'll be able to talk to their Unraid server with a common modern language, and that will be huge for building apps or building whatever you want to interact with your server.
So that could be something we could link our Unraid servers to Home Assistant with, maybe.
Yes. Yeah. Cool. And I know there's a lot of desire for this. Hearing you say that, there's people who have been hacking this stuff together for a long time. The API that Connect is built on is very robust, and it's just a matter of making it work with multiple Unraid versions and making it pretty safe to interact with and consistent and give the same like correct results versus like some things on it just haven't been maintained and might not be updated. So trying to get it to a good state and then, give the community access to it. And it's going to be really cool, I think.
So at the moment it's in beta, what do you see the kind of either the time scale or the feature that you have implemented when you want to say it's going to be considered stable? Can you give us any idea at all?
I think that the definition of stable for us definitely changes somewhat, like when we try to figure out what exactly we want out of Connect. I have some, desires for what I want to see in a Connect stable that I think Connect is missing. And I think some of that is just management. There's no ability to manage your server from within Unraid Connect besides that iframe tool, which is great, but I really want Connect without forwarding ports to be able to help manage people's servers. And that sort of thing is all kind of dependent on, like, I'd really like it to be that as a user, I consent to Connect managing my server by going to my Unraid server and giving Connect permissions. Right now, you install the plugin and it has just built-in permissions to view some things. And then when you go to the Connect dashboard, it executes these queries against the built-in Unraid API. But what I'd really like is before it's allowed to execute queries, it actually requires you to go to your server and allow it to have access to the various features of Unraid that you'd like it to work with. Sort of like a scoped permission tool, if that makes sense. That sort of thing to me feels like a big part of the reason I want to wait to take it stable, so we can give users a lot more control over what it accesses on their servers and what permissions it has.
Awesome. Okay then, guys, which one of you can I twist your arm in order to get one more feature that you're thinking about? Just give us one, please.
Yeah. So just to talk about like the idea of Connect and the development process here, I'd really like to see features like Connect as a way to ship labs features that might also benefit Unraid. So one thing is like this Nginx proxy manager. A lot of people use this container where you can go view all your Docker containers basically behind a reverse proxy that's running on Unraid in a Docker container. I'd really like to build something like that into Connect eventually, where Connect has a tool that you can use to generate these reverse proxy configs. So rather than requiring a user to go in and manually specify their applications, they can actually just have Unraid discover or Unraid Connect discover those apps that are running on their server and then build a proxy manager configuration for those apps automatically. Something like that to make it easier to access all your apps behind one URL would be awesome. So, I really see Connect as being able to sort of simplify the use of Unraid in a lot of ways like that.
Anyway, just to sort of wrap things up a little bit, I'm going to switch gears a bit, and I'm going to ask a question that I often ask at the beginning of podcasts. But have you guys watched anything cool, read anything cool, or can recommend anything, any books to the audience that they should go ahead and watch or read?
Yeah, I can go on that. So I'm the show Succession on HBO. It's like wrapping up its final season. It's kind of a hate watch. You can't. It's the type of show where like everyone is just a terrible person, and but it's the writing is like really fantastic, and like the acting and everything. So I think the season finale is like coming up like this Sunday. So gotta finish that. So that's something I've been watching. Oh yeah. So I just started a book called Critical Mass. It's like a sci-fi book. I'm only about a third of the way through, but it's really good so far. I think it's set in like 2040 or somewhere around there. And it's like the first, like private space exploration crew that they're sent to this asteroid and are basically like mining it for a bunch of, rare materials and stuff like that. And so it kind of gets into, it's far enough out where it's like, kind of cool sci-fi, but it's also, with SpaceX and everything else that's going on, it's like, you can see like we're probably pretty close to something like this happening. So
they're often some of the best sci-fis that are a little bit sci-fi, but you can see the kind of reality that it could happen. Some sci-fi is so crazy that you think that could never happen. But it's nice to have things that are grounded in the kind of times we live in, that we could imagine maybe, we would actually see that happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So how about the rest of you?
Well, I saw a cool movie last night. Anyone seen John Wick 4 by any chance?
Yes. I love it.
It's on the list.
I loved it. It was awesome. The cinematography in it. And Vanessa said to me before it starts, she said, John Wick dies in this one. I shouldn't really
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Cut that.
But and then I saw a trailer today for John Wick 5 and he's back.
There's a trailer out already for John Wick 5?
There's a trailer for John Wick 5, yeah. I saw that.
You can't kill John Wick. That's how that works. Yeah. That movie was awesome.
I'll make sure to put a spoiler warning in the show notes. At this timestamp. Skip ahead if you.
I've been reading, I've been watching Star Trek Picard, which is not a good show and very, very hated by a lot of the Star Trek.
I quite liked it.
That's the thing, right? So like it's not a good show in the sense that like it's not Star Trek. Really, it's like kind of breaks the mold of Star Trek, but I really like it. And, probably a lot of our watchers are Trekkies or something, and they're going to be like, hating on me for liking it. But I think it's pretty fun. It's, I love Patrick Stewart's acting. I can't get enough of him. So yeah, it's just so emotional because I've spent my childhood with The Next Generation and those characters, and like watching them all come back is so cool. So
it's awesome, isn't it? Like everything. Oh, so-and-so's in it this week. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so good. It's crazy.
I think sometimes people they get very kind of purist into Star Trek. It's got, Star Trek is this. Star Wars fans are the same. They go, with the new Star Wars series, this isn't Star Wars, but my favorite Star Wars was Andor.
Andor was amazing.
It's just brilliant. It's not exactly this. It's not normal Star Wars, but you have to look at it in its own right, and then you can enjoy it more.
Highly recommend Andor.
Andor's so good. Yeah.
And just one more show I'm going to speak about. I'm sorry. You can tell what I get up to in my spare time. Did you guys ever see The Peripheral?
Oh, I've been watching that. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to the next season of that.
So the town in that show is Marshall, North Carolina, where the town that's not London, where they're actually from. And my friends, relatives have a cabin in that town. And it's so weird because we've been there multiple times and, you see all these shots of this little quaint town in North Carolina. And it is this town that we've been to, and they didn't do any editing of the town when they shot the show. It's just the town, which is pretty cool. So that's really interesting.
So for me, I was looking for, trying to figure out what I wanted to watch and kind of coming up blank on a lot of stuff. And I went back to The Walking Dead. And my plan was not to watch the whole thing, but just the first couple seasons. And I got to say, I'm really enjoying that first and second, especially the first season of The Walking Dead. It's just amazing.
So
they broke a lot of ground, did a lot of really good stuff.
I rewatched The Walking Dead, a few years ago, and I'd forgotten a lot of it. You start watching it again, and it's just as exciting as the first time. And probably I could watch it again now, and I'd have forgotten it again.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, where can people actually look at Unraid Connect if they want to try it out now?
Yeah, it's a great segue. Go to connect.myunraid.net, and if you go to /help, it'll walk you through the setup process. You can also go to unraid.net/connect on our website, and that'll walk you through how to get going. And there's a video and a whole setup guide, and you should be up and running in a couple minutes tops. So
yeah, it's pretty easy. You just get the plugin and then go sign into the plugin and sign into Connect, and you're good. So yeah.
Anyway, guys, I hope you have a great Memorial weekend, whatever you are up to, and you managed to get a bit of chill out time as well as working. So
yeah, it's a long weekend for all of us. I think we have Memorial
Day. Do you all
Day.
Have a long weekend?
Bank holiday, right, Ed?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm going away camping, but luckily I've got a portable router and I can connect to my MB server. So
are you really camping? Are you really?
Is that I don't know.
It's my version of camping, Spencer. I can't have no technology. I have nature and a bit of technology.
Do you show up with a desktop, or do you at least use a laptop?
Well, I say it's camping. It's actually an RV.
So you got a desktop in there. You got your NAS. You're good to go. You got a VPN to home.
It's but I've tried to tech it out a little bit, too.
That's awesome.
That sounds
awesome. Do you
awesome.
have solar panels and stuff, or do you plug in?
I do, yeah. Well, the solar panels aren't on the roof, but I just plug. They're kind of fold out ones. So.
Yeah.
And I've got a whole bunch of batteries.
That's awesome. So, do you have a video on your RV setup?
I don't. Maybe I should make one, but it's
you should make one.
It's a VW camper, and the roof pops up, and I found a projector screen, and it fits right in where the pop top goes, so I can lie in the bed. And then I have perfect. A projector onto a big screen and watch.
There you go.
That is too cool.
So yeah.
Campfire, movie night.
What's the camper model? Is it a
T5? I'm not sure. Do you have the same in America?
It's probably they probably sell a similar one. It's probably called the California here or something. But
I think I think it is. It's very. I've seen the California over here. So yeah, it's like that, and it's.
This is awesome.
It's pretty small, but it's nice just for me and the wife to go away and chill out. So.
That's so cool. Yeah.
And luckily she puts up with my technology. So
yeah, it's just let's go on a camping trip, and you're just at home.
I did even consider trying to build a small Unraid server and put it in there. I thought there's just no point. I can just link straight back to the main one. I don't know.
It's a remote backup, Ed.
It would
Come
be
on,
so cool, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just if your main server goes down.
Half the thing about it is the fun of making it. It's not always using it, is it?
No, yeah, it's just
There you go.
can I do this thing for sure.
Well, guys, thank you ever so much for your time today. We really appreciate having you guys on the show. It's really interesting speaking to, two great developers, getting to see the team. Thank you very much, and best of luck with your work. And we can't wait to see how this plugin develops.
Thanks, Ed.
Very cool. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having us.